Hey everybody, we're on with my friend, longtime friend Bill Carroll, who I've known since 2006.
I think maybe a year or two before that, because we met. I think either the year that Aaron Rodgers was drafted, or the year prior to Aaron Rodgers being
2005.
drafted. Yeah,
Yeah, that was my first NFL draft. Right. Um, we both met by the late Dr. Bill Chakis, who I still miss
correct.
today. Uh, and that was in the very next year. We was any 60. I became the first person to use a YouTube channel at the draft. Um, which I mark since they have people now like Darman, um, who you know story behind that.
I don't know if I know the story behind it.
You ever heard of Darman?
I've heard people throw the name around. I'm not sure to whom it refers.
Okay, uh, you'd be forgiven if you never heard of Darman. He is the latest YouTube creator. He has 165 million followers spread over different platforms. Uh, but it's once again one of these situations where you, you have organizations like the NFL putting out press to make a person who, in point of fact, has a fake following look real.
Ah,
Okay. Uh, I figured that out a long time ago. At any rate, PewDiePie, that was
oh,
2012.
PewDiePie. Yes.
Yeah. I got a press release about PewDiePie. I'd never heard of him. This is 2012.
Yeah.
I was here in Fayetteville. And I went out running an errand. I asked everybody I encountered along my errand if they'd ever heard of PewDiePie. And they said, 7 people said no. Then I got one yes. But then even the person said yes says, I think I know who that is. I'm not sure, but yeah, I've heard of him. It wasn't like, yeah, I know who he is. I hate him, right? Okay, nothing like that.
Right.
So now you get these press releases, these people trying to justify this following by saying, oh, this person's big. Oh, how? Because he has so many followers, but how come no one's known of him? You're telling me he's big, but you're like traditional press. What's going on here? You never heard him either, right? I mean, it's weird, man. Um, so meanwhile, the first YouTuber in the NFL gets ignored, me. So there. Is that my raging rant? No, I'm not raging and I'm not ranting, but the whole point is it's true. They put that guy out there. He's also has, guess what? Not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 felonies.
Yep. I am aware.
Talk about blowing up in your face. Man, that was a worst NFL PR move in a while. That was kind of like holy what is it? Holy felony, Batman.
Yes, exactly.
So anyway, Bill, congratulations on a successful Senior Bowl trip.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it was touch and go for a while there. Um, the weather conditions coming from Chicago were extremely treacherous, and at one point, we literally were broken down by the side of the road. We were able to get back up and going again and finish the trip. It was quite arduous. It was not quite as bad coming back from Mobile. The winter storm had abated to some extent by
That's
that
right.
point.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
in the middle. How cold was it down there?
I mean, to me, not at all. But I'm I guess Mobilians might have a slightly different read on it.
He's
It
a
was in
Chicago. He's a
the
Chicago.
30s and 40s. Yeah, it was in the 30s and 40s. It was upper 30s to maybe mid to upper 40s most of the days. I think the game day was the warmest, and I think it might have gotten around 51, 52 on game day. But the practice week was mostly upper 30s to about mid to upper 40s.
Okay, this begs the question: what is the coldest weather you've ever been in, Bill?
Oh, the coldest weather football game I've ever been to was a Thursday night game, Bears versus Saints. Bears versus Saints, probably about 18, 17 years ago, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think it was one of the 4 or 5 coldest kickoffs in NFL history. I think it was about 7 or 8 degrees around kickoff time,
Wow,
and
I was
with the
prepared
wind chill, was below zero.
That's what I was going to say. I was preferring you to say below 0.
Yeah, but the wind chill was definitely below 0.
Wow.
My friend Carl, shout out to my friend Carl, went out to get some drinks, and by the time he got back, they had literally frozen. Like they had frozen pretty hard.
So what was the coldest weather you've ever been in, period?
Oh, in my life ever? So one time here in Chicago during the polar vortex, right? The wind chill was negative 38, and the air temperature was something like negative 9 or 11 or something like that. It was somewhere plus or minus a degree or above or below 10, and with the wind chill was like negative 38.
Wow. The coldest for me was I remember this was 1978, and was it 78? No. I'm sorry. It was the 80s. It was 1983, Chicago, and I was home. Mom lived at Versailles Apartments in Schaumburg at the time, and she picked me up at O'Hare. I had to get gas, and it was 67 degrees below 0 with the wind chill.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
60 freaking 7 degrees.
Yep.
But I did I pump the gas? Yes.
Yep. That's well. I like to say, welcome to Chicago. But yes, it was good to get away, even though it was a harrowing trip. And Mobile is always, worth the trip. There was a lot of talent on display at almost all the positions, with the exception of quarterback.
Right.
And
that was glaring. That was a glaring.
Yeah, they had
glaringly bad. I'll put it.
It was it was a Strugglesville. Yeah, the quarterback position was Strugglesville. Garrett Nussmeier was I won't use the term winner because he was the one who lost the least of all of the players at the quarterback position. He didn't look uncomfortable receiving snaps under center, which a lot of the others did. He had a good job, like commanding the huddle. He seemed to grasp the offense that they're being taught very quickly. And, once again, son of an offensive coach. So he knows how to learn and spit back verbiage very quickly. He didn't have a great arm. The guys who did have a great arm, Taylor Green has a fantastic arm, and he had 2 or 3 fantastic throws, but he also had a bunch of not great throws. Taylor Green has the most talent by far of anyone who's there amongst the quarterbacks. Came in at over 6'6", 229 pounds, moved around beautifully, huge arm, but his mechanics aren't great. He's got to speed up the ball coming out. The ball takes a while to come out, and the accuracy is very scattershot. Cole Payton had a decent week. Sort of a nice mix between the two, like not as talented as Taylor Green because, Taylor Green's an elite level talent, but was a little more under control. Not super accurate. None of them were, quite frankly, but not wildly inaccurate. It was a difficult week for Mr. Pavia. First of all, he quote-unquote lost the weigh-in, came in under 5'10", struggled mightily with taking snaps under center. Doesn't see things quickly. Did have 2 or 3, nice balls. He can throw with touch and anticipation. I will give him that. But he has to because he doesn't have a big arm and he's short. So you have to throw with touch and anticipation when you're both short and don't have a big arm. And unlike Russell Wilson, who is 5'10" and 5'8", Russell Wilson has very long arms and very big hands, so he's effectively taller by probably 4 inches over a guy like Pavia, who has shorter arms and small hands. Which is part of why he struggles so much taking snaps under center.
You're saying that Russell Wilson, who himself is short. Russell
Wilson is, under 5'11", but with his arm length and the hand size, he's able to, easily take snaps, but also he can extend, up this way because he's got arms that are probably more than 3 inches longer than Pavia's and hands that are over an inch larger. So he's able.
Pavia himself is about the same size as Russell Wilson.
Well, he's shorter because he's under 5'10". So people like to compare every short quarterback to Russell Wilson, which is a mistake.
2 inches.
He's not that much like Russell Wilson. He's not that much like Kyler Murray, who's an elite level athlete. He's not that. I mean, the guys he's more like are guys who didn't make it, quite frankly.
That's what I'm going to ask. I was going to be because how far down do you think he's going to fall? Since he doesn't have, the Shedeur Sanders tag.
Somebody's
somebody
going to roll the dice. I think the marketplace opens for him in the middle of the fifth and closes at the into the seventh. But somebody somewhere is just going to roll the dice and say the kid's a gamer. We'll see what we got, that kind of thing. And plus, in this quarterback class, it makes
there's Fernando and
there's a gap since Dante Moore and now Trinidad Chambliss has successfully managed to extricate himself from the draft. So Ty Simpson is now fully secured the number 2. And I'm not completely sold on Simpson either. But after those two, the rest are almost certainly career backups. Now, what I will say is I wish they'd invited more small school guys, especially at the quarterback position. If there was ever a year to bring in more than one FCS or even one D2 quarterback, this was that year. And they brought in one FCS quarterback, no D2 quarterbacks. And frankly, there weren't, in my opinion, not enough FCS and D. In fact, there was not a single D2 player there. There was one D3 player from John Carroll, and he had a great week. Tyrann Montgomery had a great week. And, Cole Payton and some other, a few other FCS guys were there, but there were no other D2 players invited. I mean, no D2 players and one D3. So what I would like to see is at least a sprinkling of FCS and then 2 or 3 D2 and, maybe one D3 or one NAA. But, I mean, they're figuring it out. We have it, this is the first year that the new regime is in there, and you could, feel the difference in certain places in certain parts of the week. Obviously, Panini, instead of having the chance to get those giant Reese's Cups, you got, some. In fact, I think I have them here. So instead of Reese's Cups, which I guess, a second on the lips and a forever on the hips, instead.
Cards.
Yeah, cards. The Panini. There's a Joe Montana.
You have to center it to the camera. There's a dot.
Yes, there we go. That's Joe Montana.
Notre Dame.
Joe Cool. Marcel Reed. Texas A&M. But yeah, that's so instead that's what they have this year. But
let me take care of one thing.
Go ahead.
All right, cool.
While you do that, I will talk about the strongest position group there, which is the wide receiver group. Okay. The wide receiver group is a really good group in this draft class as a whole. Ted Hurst really helped himself. Lewis Bond helped himself. I would say it would be easier to name the wide receivers that didn't help themselves than the ones that did. But the wide receiver group as a whole was very, very strong. Every single one of the wide receivers there practically made at least 1 or 2 plays that made you say, okay. And once again, I mentioned Mr. Montgomery briefly. Mr. Montgomery went from a player that I think most people would have talked about as a priority undrafted free agent, or maybe even a guy that gets invited to a camp, based on a local day or things like that. I think he established himself as a surefire, definite, no doubt, middle of day 3 type selection. Josh Cameron from Baylor, who was one of the most physically impressive prospects, 6'1 1/4, 223 pounds, 10 1/8 inch hands, which is huge, 33 3/4 inch long arms, which is enormous. Bond came in smaller, 5'11", 197. Decent sized hands, 9 3/4, which is, let's say decent, that's big. Short arms though, under 30 inches. I have longer than 30-inch arms than I'm less than 5 foot. I'm 5'7" and 5'8". But 29 7/8 inch. Cyrus Allen made some impressive plays. And for a guy who's only 5'11 and 1/8, really great arm length at 34 1/4, which is ridiculous for a guy who's 5'11 and 1/8. Ted Hurst, who was one of the big winners that week, 6'3 1/4, 207, 9 5/8 hands, which is big. Not huge, but big. And very solid arm, but one of the longest arms at 33 and a quarter. I mentioned John Carroll's own Ty Montgomery, 5'11 and 3/8, and right at 190 pounds, 31 and 3/4 inch arms, which is right about average, maybe slightly over for a man his height. Who else really helps him? Barry Brown, a much smaller player, 5'10", 176. Small hands, a little concerning. About just slightly larger than mine. I think mine are 8 and 3/8. He came in 8 and 5/8. 32 and 7/8 inch, which is actually long arm. No, sorry, 31 and 7/8, which is actually not bad for a guy his size. Harrison Wallace had a couple of good plays, 5'11 and 5/8, 194. Only 8 and 5/8 inch hands. And sorry, Berrien's 8 and 7/8, which for man his size is actually not bad. And then Harrison Wallace was 32 and 7/8 inches. My favorite, my personal favorite slot receiver in this draft class is Kevin Coleman, 5'11 on the nose, 174. Not the biggest guy in the world, right? But so sudden. 9 and a quarter inch hands, about average for a guy his size, maybe slightly over average. So yeah, slightly above average for a guy his size. 30 and a quarter inch arms, which is slightly below average, but his ability to get in and out of his breaks. I don't know if there's anybody better in and out of their breaks in the whole draft class. Barry and Brown and he should have like a 3-cone off to see who wins. But super quick, understands route nuance, understands route tempo, understands route deception, doesn't tip his pitches, flashes late hands so he doesn't give away to the defensive back where the ball is and snatches it at the last moment. Very well coached. Malachi Fields had a good week. Sort of a pure deep threat, but if you don't get Carnell Tate in the first, maybe you get Malachi Fields in the late second to mid third, and you probably are happy with yourself. Jordan Hudson from SMU had a decent week. Let's see. Oh, a couple of good plays from Devin Boyson, the local kid from went to South Alabama, 5'9", 7/8, 182, 8 and 7/8 his hands. Short arms, 29 and 3/8 inch. Jacoby Lane had a rough week. He had 2 or 3 good plays, but he struggled to get away from coverage, had a few drops. But 6'4 and 1/8, 196. If he runs fast at the combine, all will be forgiven. And huge hands, 10 and 3/8 inch hands, which is 2 inches bigger than mine. 32 and 5/8 inch arms.
You ready for a question, Bill?
Reggie Virgil had a couple of good plays, and a player that I had watched on tape and was not very impressed by, but had a really good Senior Bowl week, and sent me back to the tape, was Vinny Anthony II from Wisconsin, 5'11 3/4. So he actually won the weigh-in. I thought he was probably more like 5'11. He's almost 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. It's about what I expected. 9 and 1/8 inch, which is slightly above average. 31 and a half inch, which is right about average for a man his height.
Yeah.
But
hey, Bill,
showed.
How did Hezekiah Masses?
Oh, there's a question. Well, Riz Dog, what's your question?
Yeah, he said, "What do you think?" Riz Dog asks, "Who do you think
was the best rookie this year?"
Yeah, this year.
That's a great question. That's a really good question. I mean, it's hard to ignore, the guys that won Rookie of the Year, right? I mean, it's a good place. I'll start with them, and then I'll give you some alternates, like players that maybe didn't win Rookie of the Year, but were really good rookie players. And some teams had to play their rookies like immediately, right away, right? They didn't have better options.
Can I grudgingly offer Tyler Slow?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can I grudgingly offer Tyler Slow as the best rookie?
Oh, Tyler Shuck. Yes, you may grudgingly offer Tyler Shuck.
I expected nothing from him, and I was.
Oh well, I mean, he's played a lot of college football. He has a strong arm. At one point, he had beaten out, Justin Herbert for the starting job at Oregon. So it clearly didn't lack for talent. But here's what I will say about Shuck. I think he's going to have a solid career. I think he's not going to explode upward in terms of like development just because he's 25 already. I think he'll get gradually and incrementally better, but he won't make the big jump a guy like say Drake May might make in the next few years, who's just 23. But back to Tetraroyo McMillan, right?
I still think the jury is out on Drake May myself.
Well, he comes right in and displaces Xavier Leggett and others and becomes the wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
And had a terrific year. I thought that people were, I don't know why some people weren't sold on him. I mean, he's super productive all throughout his college career. He played with Noah Fafita, who was not terrible, but a guy that struggled at times with ball placement. But he has tremendous body control, has a huge catch radius, and is a little better after the catch than people might realize.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Schlesinger.
Caleb came out the same year that Drake did, so they weren't rookies. You're talking about second-year players in that.
Yeah, I'm talking about second. That's the second-year players. So I'm talking about rookies.
Yeah.
Carson Schlesinger had a really good year on a really good defense. I think he's helped by the fact that the Browns already had a terrific defense. But he stepped right in, became an immediate contributor, and were you able to stay healthy, he would have an even better year. Trevion Henderson had a nice year amongst some of the guys who didn't win Rookie of the Year, but he had a nice year. And I think if he continues to improve in things like blitz pickup and gets a little more power, continues to get stronger, that'll help him to break tackles and things like that. But he still had 9 touchdowns rushing and 911 rushing yards, and was a very good outlet receiver out of the backfield.
Yep.
Jackson Dart, obviously another guy dealt with injury, but came in and clearly gave the team like a little extra kick.
That kid's going to play himself out of a job.
He just has to stay healthy. Like, that's the good question. Can he not
learn to slide properly? He's got
to work on that, obviously. He said, even when you talk to him, right? When we talked to him at the combine, he said, "I'm not a slider. I don't slide." Now that's going to have to change. He's a tough guy, right? But Matt Carroll, who also got drafted by the Panthers, if I remember correctly, is a guy that
Bill,
treats his body like a crash test.
Call that being
he treats his body like a rental.
But Bill, you got to call that being stubborn, okay? If a kid is going to say that to you, it's kind of like, "Well, I'm this." Well, look, I don't care that you're that. We're trying to tell you how to prolong your career,
right? Kid. And I think he's going to, especially what happened at the end of this year. I think he's starting to get it, right? He had a couple of concussions, so that should probably begin to make him understand. You mentioned Tyler Shuckle-Ray, so what's going on?
You know what I'm afraid of, Bill? Maybe he doesn't get enough concussions to knock some sense into his head. He just and then he says, "I'm okay. I'm going to keep playing this way," and it's kind of like, "Oh no!" And all of a sudden, boom. Okay, I'm half kidding.
I think he's starting to get it. But I want to spend some time, particularly on Emeka Egbuka, another person who stepped into a crowded room to some extent, right? They had a lot of really good receivers in Tampa Bay, stepped in and became a big-time contributor, and at times, when they had injuries or other things, took over, like was functioning as a wide receiver 1. Very impressive rookie season. Looked great most of the year. Really has real grasp of how to run routes. Really understands when to throttle down, really understands how to, keep people off balance as a rookie in terms of how he runs routes.
What you're saying is he takes to coaching really well.
Yeah, he was coached really well, but also he's in a really great wide receiver room. Like, if you want to see the field in Tampa Bay, you better be good. I mean, Jalen McMillan, Mike Evans. I mean, they've got a lot of good receivers. Sterling Shepard. They have a lot of receivers, and none of them are bad, right? They have a lot of really good receivers.
Riz Dog has another question, by the way.
Sorry, what was that?
Riz Dog has another question. Riz Dog, please ask the question.
Okay, what's your question, Riz Dog?
Hey, Riz Dog, why is your name Riz Dog?
Okay, well, what's your question, Riz Dog?
We're waiting. Hey, we're waiting for you.
Well, while we're waiting, since he asked about rookies, other rookies I thought had really good years. On defense, Nick Murray, right, who made a big impact on the most recent Super Bowl. Abdul Carter of the Giants.
I'll tell you who I liked on defense. It was the linebacker with the Texans, was actually a rookie linebacker that was added to their. They arguably the Texans have the greatest crop of linebackers active in the NFL right now.
Yeah, they have a great defense. Period.
I'll argue for them. They are so good that they cry for a great offense. They are so good that they wind up battling their own offense. Do you realize that? That's how bad their offense is.
Yeah, we all watch the Texans, but yes.
Oh,
The Texans.
we didn't watch
We
it.
saw we
We,
saw
we
we saw
struggled through
Stroud
the
take a little
pain.
step back this year. He
We
was better
struggled through the
previously,
pain.
but
We marched through this. It was like marching through a Chicago snow. That's 3 inches, and your galoshes are only 1 foot. That's it. Which means the rest of
so
you're like because I've been through that, and I know you have too. All right, but that's
yeah.
how it felt like watching the Texans. It's like, oh, and wait a minute. Here is Riz Dog. Riz Dog says,
Oh, okay.
"Team is your favorite." Riz Dog. I like them all. I've gotten to the point where I'm a Raider. I'll always be a Raider. Okay,
Oh, oh,
but
okay.
I like because for a lot of reasons. But there you go. But I like all the teams because I know so many players, coaches, front office people. Um, just over, I don't know, 20 years of being in this business, and probably just watching NFL that has changed in a way where I think it's gotten a little bit too big for its britches. But yeah, I said it,
And,
but,
and
and I don't care.
I would be
Honestly, no. Yeah.
speaking of Raiders. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Austin Gentry. Now he dealt with a really tough situation, an offense that was fairly dysfunctional, an offensive line that definitely let him down at times, and he wasn't always even put in game plans. I think that necessarily helped him. They didn't do enough, I think, to get him in space, but he still managed to be productive despite all those problems. There were two teams that doubled up. They had two rookies on the same side of the ball that each made an impact. Now, unfortunately, James Pierce, who had some character stuff even in college, has now, obviously an investigation still ongoing. We'll see what comes of it. But
Yeah, that where he actually that one we have to talk about. Hey, but no, Riz Dog, you put out a question like that again, I delete him like that. But if you do it again, I'm booting you. Okay. None of the immature stuff. I don't have time. All right. Sorry, Bill. Go ahead.
yep. So the Falcons looked like they were really building something among young players on defense with James Pierce and Xavier Watts. Now, obviously, we'll have to see what plays out with Mr. Pierce. There was stuff, about around him even prior to him coming into the NFL. So we'll see if this is what we're hearing, or if it's something less or something different. And then shout out to the Bears. I live here in Chicago. They managed to find two very productive rookies. Colston Loveland had a really good year as a rookie tight end, and they played a lot of two tight end sets with he and Cole Kmet. And then Luther Burden III really helped to solidify the interior part of that passing attack, right? They already had, Rome Odunze and DJ Moore, and now with the ability to put Luther Burden out there, so now they really are pretty much set, right? I mean, they have an offense that is really ready to go. They could still use quality depth on the offensive line, but they have a lot of really good young players on that offense. And the Bears offense should be a very good one for a very long time.
Now, how about this situation? Now, I gotta ask you again about. I try to sneak him in again, but I'll ask again for the Cal people up in front. Hezekiah Masses, who is the primary.
So Hezekiah Masses is going to. Oh, he's in my. Actually, I can just read you from my own scouting report. So if you want to go to Team MBS Media, if you go to where it says draft season is coming with it a bumper crop of corners, you'll see my top 25 corners. And he's not in that first tier, but he's in the second tier. He was an AP second team All-American, super high football IQ, and he's just above the middle, line. He's in the bottom of my second tier, and he led the nation in passes defended, first of all, right?
To be posted on NFL News by Zenny62.com.
He had 18 passes defended. 5 of those were interceptions. He had 43 tackles, and he is a ball hawk, but not one that takes silly chances, right? He is a ball hawk and yet mostly plays fairly safely. Like a lot of guys are what I call the Marcus Peters mindset, right? where they jump everything and hope it works out. and you could have a nice career. I mean, Marcus Peters had a nice career. I think 13 years, something like that in the league. You could have a nice career playing that way. But this young man, Mr. Hezekiah Masses, manages to have that kind of effect without taking too many chances, right? He knows how to disrupt passing lanes. He knows how to change the minute of a game. Now, people think of him as a zone-only guy. I think that might be an unfair label. I think he is possibly able to play man. Now, he may not be a press man, right? There's other ways to play man other than just coming up pressing.
Yep.
But he has great route anticipation. He has really good hands, right? Which is something that not every defensive back has. But he's going to if you play a split safety defense, I think he's going to immediately see the field. And even if he isn't a full-time starter, I think he's going to play in a lot of nickel and dime situations, which are increasingly, common.
Yep.
And I think he could potentially become a cornerback one, become a not just a starter, but like the best cornerback on the field if you run the right kind of system for him.
Now we come to the defensive tackles. Given that this is such an important part of the game now, who's among the defensive tackles is high on your list and why?
Well, a lot of them are, right? It's a great class. Got to see.
Just kidding.
I got to see a couple of them up close and personal. So, two guys that made a lot of money in Mobile were Lee Hunter and Caleb Banks. Now, Caleb Banks did not have the best of seasons, not because he's not a good player, right?
Can you share the schools they went to?
He missed virtually the entire year. So, Caleb Banks.
Which schools did they go to?
Caleb Banks is Florida, and Lee Hunter is Texas Tech.
Okay.
But, LSU, sorry. There was a kid from Texas Tech, played D-tackle, also had a good week. But back to Caleb Banks. Mm-hmm. Caleb Banks, first of all, is one of the most solidly built 335-pound human beings. No, let me scratch that. He is the most solidly built 335 human being I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen Orlando Pace. But, to see 335 pounds on a 6'6" frame and to see it be so packed, so tightly packed, right? He seemed to have very little body fat. I wouldn't be shocked if he had 14 something, maybe around that percent body fat. Like, he's ludicrously well put together for a 335-pound man. Incredibly quick. Had some legitimate pass rush moves to go with it. Hunter is a little more of just a guy who just basically throws the guard in towards the quarterback. Like, he doesn't have a lot of pass rush moves in terms of like nuance and setup and things like that. He just is a pure powerhouse, just so powerful. But both those guys were great, just great. At the other end of the spectrum, like the undersized 3-tech, you have Landon Robinson from the Naval Academy, who was the buzz of the Shrine Bowl, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Unblockable.
Yep.
Now, he can get engulfed at times if you do get your hands on him, but the way that practices go in an all-star game, it's mostly one-on-ones, right? And they, a little bit of teamwork, but they want to see you go one-on-one a lot. And he's just so quick and so sudden and so agile that there were times when guys just literally would miss him altogether at times, like just whiff. But he, as small as he is, he, 5'11" and an eighth, 291 pounds. He did one of the most impressive double team work. He literally put one knee on the ground, right, and like forklifted one guy, right, and because he realized you don't beat a double team by beating two guys, especially when you're 291 pounds. You get rid of one of them, right, and now deal with one guy. And so he showed that strategic mindset of a naval officer. Mm-hmm. And did some great work in some of the teamwork and taking on double teams. So he's not for every team just because, he's 5'11" and an eighth. Some teams are just going to have him off their board altogether. Some teams have a minimum threshold for certain positions. If your arms are below a certain length, or if you're below a certain height or below a certain weight, you're just off their board altogether. So he will not even be on probably 4 or 5 teams' boards at all. But for the teams that don't freak out over, lack of bulk and lack of height at the D tackle position and prize explosiveness and speed and pursuit and intelligence and technique, he's probably still a day 3 pick. He has a military commitment. I guess we'll find out. At one point in the Biden administration, they were almost automatically deferring, and then the Trump administration said they weren't going to do that. So I guess I'll have to do some research to see what's going on with the military deferments for Naval Academy and Air Force and West Point players. But the combination of his size and the possibility of a military commitment may make him, a less attractive player. But he's a terrific. His tape is fantastic, and he's just so sudden for a guy that size. Even though he's not very tall, still at 291 pounds, 291 pounds. And to put it in perspective,
you spent more time talking about him than any other player by a factor of 2. That says something.
I'm going to say this.
Sure.
Partially because I've been asked to defend him, but just think about this. For most of his career, Aaron Donald played at about 288 or less.
Right.
At his heaviest, John Randall was about 291, 292, but played most of his career in the upper 270s, 277, 284, somewhere in there. But towards the end of his career, bulked up a little bit. Now, Warren Sapp played a little over 300. But of the greatest 3 techniques in the history of the game, several of them were less than 290 pounds. A couple of them were less than 290 pounds, much of their careers. But, yes, there are other D tackles that are certainly worthy of mention, and I'll mention some. So, I think the group as a whole of the Senior Bowl group all had pretty good weeks. And I mentioned the two that had the 2 best weeks right off the bat. Caleb Banks, who was ludicrously good, and Lee Hunter. Alabama's Tim Keenan, who is purely like a run plugger, but he's 6'1" and an eighth and 332 pounds. And he doesn't give you a lot more than just, that bulk that eats up space, but he does do that fairly well. And a similar type of player is Cameron Bell from Arkansas. A tweener, right? A guy who maybe is a 5 tech or a 4-eye, can play some 3, is Rashawn Benny, who had 4 or 5 really good reps. At times, he got washed when they played him, inside against more powerful guards.
Yep.
But he's 6'3" on the nose, 296. So he's got enough length at 33.5-inch arms that you can play him outside. You can line him up outside. Teams will have to figure out what they think of him. Sort of a similar, sort of tweener-ish, 5 tech, 4-eye type is Devin Eastern from Minnesota.
Right.
He's neither fish nor fowl. Some teams will find that intriguing. Some teams won't like that at all. He's not sudden enough to be a pure pass rusher, and he's not quite bulky enough to be like a pure inside player. So he's, like I said, he's either a player that you're intrigued by the versatility or you'll be turned off by the not knowing what he is. My comparison was Ryan McBean when he came out of Oklahoma State, for those who remember him. Another smaller 3 tech who really helped himself was Grayson Halton from Oklahoma. Came in at 6'2.5", 293. Small hands and sort of short arms, but really quick. Zane Durant's more of like a big-bodied 5 tech. Jeffrey Mba from SMU had a couple of good reps. He's 316 pounds and he's 6'5.5". So he's a big-bodied guy. Red Bryant, like a poor man's Red Bryant, for those who remember Red Bryant, who played with Seattle. I think he could carry 330 pounds easily, but he's playing at the weight he is now and looks good. Another bigger bodied guy is Nick Barrett, 6'3", 315 from USC, not that USC, but South Carolina, from University of South Carolina. And he has good arm length, 33.5-inch, and Mba has even more, 33.75-inch. So those guys, can play outside at times. Bryson Eason had a couple of good reps. He's another sort of 3 tech, but can probably play some nose. He's 316 pounds, but could carry about 330 if you wanted him to. And then Lee Hunter had a monster week.
I wouldn't want to touch his heart that way personally. That's just me.
Yeah. Lee Hunter, destructive, right? 320 pounds, 6'3" and a half, unblockable, just really destructive in the run game. It doesn't really have a lot of, like I said, a lot of nuance. He just sort of throws himself basically into the guy in front of him. And usually that guy collapses, right? So he can literally throw a guard or a center into a quarterback. If he gets sacks, that's how he'll get him.
Yep.
LT Overton's another one of those guys who's kind of a outside versus 3-tech kind of combo guy. 6'2 3/4", 278. Big hands, long arms. You like that, but his actual tape didn't exactly set the world on fire. Good against the run, though. He can set hard edges. I don't think he'll be a great pass rusher. I think he's that base guy. You know, your pass rusher guy's on the other side, and you got him on the right side. But didn't have a bad week. So those are some of the D tackles or tweener types who had a good Senior Bowl week. And then there's some guys who aren't Senior Bowl eligible or didn't go to the Senior Bowl who will be drafted in the first, I'd say, 3 or so rounds, who have a chance to be really good players.
I'm on the hunt for middle linebacker.
Oh, well, there's loads of those guys. Like this is a super deep, and I mean super deep draft for linebackers. So you're in luck. There's linebackers all over the place. I've got 25
names
linebackers that I think could, at the very least, be valuable rotational players in the NFL. And a good 17 or 18 of them, I think, could be starters. But I was going to throw out the guys who weren't there at the Senior Bowl real quick at the defensive tackle, so I think are good. Caden McDonald, Dante Corleone. Dante Corleone, cool name, one of the all-name team members from Cincinnati. He looks like a run plugger, but he actually gives you a little something as a pass rusher. Unfortunately, he wasn't healthy enough to go to the Senior Bowl, but he did get an invitation. Caden McDonald from Boston College. Not Boston College. Ohio State. He was Ohio State, not Boston College.
Yeah.
Ohio State. Another guy who can play a few different places. 320 something-ish pounds. He probably will slim down a little bit for the combine. He might throw up around 317, to get that beach body on, but run a little faster. But he's probably going to play in his career in the upper 320s to low 330s. Mostly a 0-1 type guy, but can occasionally play a little 3. Another guy who has a cool nickname, the guy they call Big Citrus, Mr. Orange from Iowa State. Another guy who originally had been invited and originally had accepted, but unfortunately was forced to later turn down his invitation due to injury.
Wow.
And Darrell Jackson Jr. from Florida State, who was a late add to the Senior Bowl, is another guy I think finds his way into the first 3 or so rounds. Same for Jonathan Jefferson and Keon Ware Hudson.
I'll tell you, I will show you who could really use the exposure that the NFL draft comes with it. And it's this man.
Oh,
okay. His name is disgusting. Hold on a second. That's embarrassing. Let's go down here and that's a.
But one last thing on Dominic Orange.
That was really cool.
While you
go ahead.
Do that.
Yep.
He can play. He has played some 3 technique, but I think he ends up playing mostly over the nose. And I think he become a Gilbert Brown type. It's kind of career I think that Dominic Orange can have in his NFL career.
What's going to be who's shaping up to be the surprise of the combine?
Okay, well, that's a great question. I think one of the first, I have to double check to see. Let me see. They dropped the name, so let's see. guys that I think will surprise in the positive sense, right? I think that Dylan Thieneman will test better than some people might expect, and also trade on Stukes amongst the sort of safety slash nickel types. I think those guys will test well. I think Xavier Nwakpa
Mm-hmm.
is going to have a better combine than some people might expect, and Ahmad Moses also amongst the. I think that Davison Igbinosian might have a nice kind of day at the combine. Watch out for Thaddeus Dixon as well. Let's see. Also, Marcus Allen and Kenneth Abney II are guys
Mm-hmm.
that's fairly well amongst the defensive back. The linebacker group is sick. Terry and York should test super well. Sonny Styles should test super well. Xavier Sori should test super well. I think Arvo Reese will test well. I think Harold Perkins will test well.
Mm-hmm.
Nnamdi Obiazor will test well. Kyle Lewis will test probably through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
I think Owen Heineke might be a pleasant surprise. Jack, I think Keyshawn Elliott will test well. Here's the guy that might test best of all, though. Watch out for Caleb Elam's Orr from TCU. I think he might test through the roof. Wesley Bissonette should test super well. It's a really athletic group, man. Landon, CJ Allen. It's just a brute. Among Bryce Betcher should probably test well. It's a really deep, really talented linebacker. Amongst the pass rushers, I think Tucker will test well. R. Mason Thomas, if he's healthy enough. Now he was hurt. He's had a lot of injuries in his college career, but if he's healthy enough, he should test really well amongst the pass rushers.
Hey, by the way, if you are loving Diane Feinstein, I have a bunch of interviews with her. So right here, yeah.
Okay.
Continue,
Other people I think will test well. I think people will be pleasantly surprised by the testing of Akeem Mesidor. I think Chris McClellan and his teammate. Well, I think he'll test really well. His teammate from his other teammate, the other Missouri pass rusher. I think he'll test less well, but he will look good in the drills though. Joshua Josephs will test well. Oh, if really we're like a surprise guy, Gabe Yakus from Illinois, I think will test extremely well. Watch out for him. Quantavious Hutchins from Boston College I think will test really well. I think Cassius Howell will test through the roof. He should. Cassius Howell should test through the roof. I'll be interested to see how Keldrick Falk tests.
Yeah.
Danny Dennis Sutton will probably be a guy that tests fairly well. Rayshawn Berry. I don't know how Caleb Banks will test, but if he tests how I think he might test, he thinks he might run 4.9 at 335.
He's the front runner for the job.
So if Caleb Banks runs 4.9 or faster at 335, that'll be crazy. David Bailey should test well. Ruben Bain should test well. Amongst the offensive line group, the name I have circled, who I think will really test well, amongst the interior offensive linemen, centers, and guards, is Armaj Reed Adams from Texas A&M.
Yeah,
I think he'll test really well.
Yeah.
Caleb Lomu will test well enough. Francis Mayaga will test, I think, fairly well. Oliva Vega Ione from Penn State, and Max Ionacher. Watch out for Max Ionacher to test super well.
Yeah.
Ali Fa'amo from Wake Forest will test well in the strength events. I don't know if he'll run super fast, but I think
I don't think that's overrated. The whole matter of cocktails.
But he's enormously powerful.
Yep.
If you're looking for somebody who might really do on the bench,
is he still with us?
Who else?
Bill?
Yep.
Living in San Leandro, or?
Oh, you're talking to somebody else.
No, I'm talking to you.
Oh, I thought you're talking to me.
Yes,
I'm talking to somebody else.
Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you on the other end of the camera. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah. So, what do you think?
What I think about what?
The possibility that the first 10 players off the draft board after Fernando will be all defense.
Oh, that's entirely possible, but I think one offensive lineman sneaks in there.
Which one?
Maybe Miyaga. Maybe one of the offensive tackles will be in that mix.
And I got to ask you on that note, though, do you think Will Campbell's awful performance in the Super Bowl is going to lead to a career downfall, or will he pick himself up? And same question for you regarding Drake May. How does he come off of this historically horrible performance? No other way to put it. No other way to put it.
I would say, I mean, Will Campbell definitely struggled. Now apparently he was not healthy for the game, and
he got
but I would say this much, right? I mean, he had a rough rookie season, right? He had a rough rookie season. I do think he will improve. I think he will improve both in terms of technique and playing strength. I don't think he'll ever be great, right? I think he will be functional enough or solid, and they may need to, maybe kick him over to the other side. I think that possibly could help him as well. But he's a shorter-armed tackle. When you're a short-armed tackle, right, his arms are about the same length as mine, and I'm 5'7" and 5'8", so that's not ideal. When you're 6'5", when you have the same arm length as the guy who's 5'7" and 5'8". Now I have unusually long arms for someone that's 5'7" and 5'8", but we have roughly the same arm length, so that's not ideal. That's not what you want. You would like his arms to be longer, and that's not everything.
Right.
But I think he's a worker. I think he takes this very seriously. I think his pride is going to, have him in the, as they say, in the lab.
Yeah.
I think he knows that game has a very different outcome if he plays better.
And
right? I think he knows that.
If he can get it right with the current crop of businesses, because they so thoroughly insulted George and Company. Well, George and Company so thoroughly insulted them that I don't think they're going to be back at Super Bowl. And that's a big problem. Now, they're able to survive Super Bowl 60, and here comes Super Bowl 52. Drum rolls, please. Da, 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 da. Anyway, gentlemen, we want to pick this up later, or are you fading like I am?
No, I have a few more minutes left in me. But what I'll say is that your technique has to be just about perfect when you're a short-armed offensive tackle. We all remember Robert Gallery, who eventually ended up kicking inside the guard. And there are a few other guys who have, overcome having arms that are below the 33-inch, threshold.
We sell
people always talk about
this sandwich and
but it is difficult. It is not easy to do. But like I said, I know he has a super high work ethic. I know he takes this seriously. I know he himself, has made it clear that he feels like he's part of the reason they lost, and he is. He's a definite part. I mean, he gave up a bunch of pressures, and I think like 3 sacks. So about 3 of those sacks, he's wearing. So if he plays better, that's a much closer football game.
Yes, absolutely. Where are we with kickers? Because kickers are now, I mean, I saw the kickers of the Senior Bowl. Most of them were meh. Is the one I may have mentioned?
Oh, you said kickers?
Yeah, kickers. Yeah.
Well, some of the kickers, here's what I'll say. I think that there's no slam dunk to be drafted. I think there might be 1 kicker, 1 punter. Right, possibly 2 punters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a fantastic year for specialists. I think that there's a couple.
Yeah.
Like literally a couple, like meaning 1 or 2, that are worthy of a draft pick. And at the combine, right, which is where you see, obviously who the NFL thinks. So Ryan Eckley from Michigan State has a chance to be drafted. Jack Stonehouse from Syracuse has a chance to be drafted.
Yep.
And I would say maybe even Brett Thorson, possibly.
But What do you
We're
think
going to
is
see
through these? What do you think is going through these guys' heads, man?
the kickers.
Yeah.
Just go through your routine, right? I mean, when you're at practice, right? When you're at football practice, while you're doing what you're doing and getting the crap knocked out of you, and looking for where your teeth landed and whatever,
Yep.
and you look at the kickers and they're like, having a game where they see who can hit the upright and stuff like that. Like it's at times you think to yourself, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe I should have worked on that, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't see them running till they vomit. But also in exchange for that, all the pressure, right? They have all the pressure, right? They're in their own heads trying to just make themselves go through the routine, right?
Yes.
And so it's almost like being a golfer to some extent, more than it's like being a football player to some extent. In that
it's snowing. Where is that? Italy?
You have to be able to block out, right, all the things that are going on around you. You have to be able to stick to your routine and your technique no matter what's going on. And you have to be okay with being lonely. People don't talk to you very much when you're a kicker.
No.
Now, there's some exceptions, obviously, but for the most part, you don't see players talking to the kickers unless something great or something terrible has happened, right? Those are the two times when you see people talking to the kickers. And the talking is very different kinds of talking, depending on whether it's great or terrible.
Right.
You don't see a lot of regular chatter between non-specialists.
They're specialized.
The kickers talk to long snappers and holders.
Yes.
And other kickers.
Hey, so in closing for this round, what do you have to say for Hope Solo who may be watching this?
Somebody who wants a kicker?
Who lives in North Carolina.
You're saying if somebody wants a kicker?
Well, if someone wanted to bring her in as a replacement for their high school, no, direct motives posted, nothing.
Oh, I mean, I guess first you have to make sure that, that it's like it's a meritocracy, right? You want to first make sure that the person actually do the job,
right?
But once that's been determined, then it's just competition, right? If you're coming into camp, most kickers, all kickers, with few exceptions, have to come and take the job from the kicker who's already there. Very rarely does a team not have a kicker on the roster at all, and occasionally it happens, and they bring in a kicker, and there's no competition. But most teams don't like to do that for two reasons. One, what if that person, like the Robert Aguayo situation, what if they aren't what you thought they'd be, right? Now you've taken Roberto Aguayo, and you've got no other option, and you just have to suffer for a while through Roberto Aguayo while he, doesn't really perform until you can finally go out and get another kicker. So generally speaking, it's a competition. They say it's a competition in every position, and sometimes it's true. But at kicker, it's always true. It's always a competition with very few exceptions, and you just have to beat out the existing kicker.
Isn't that funny? It's like it's a never-ending stream of next man up, right? It's really next man to the side sometimes.
Yeah, well, a kicker, there's already a person up. You have to go there and take it from them.
Yeah, that's something else. Hey, Dr. Bill, great information imparted there. We have to do it again.
Yes, indeed.
And tell them how they can find you and who you are with respect to. Well, he's a owner. He owns 5% of the company now.
Yes. So I have videos dropping this weekend for my top 75 of what will eventually be my top 350. That'll show up this weekend on Zenny62 Media. I have articles for my rankings of my linebackers are going to drop next, but already up are the corners and the centers / offensive guard. So interior offensive line rankings are up on Team MBS Media. And every Wednesday night, you can find me on Draft Central. And on Draft Central, we'll be talking about the draft. We just posted an interview with Trey Williams from the University of North Texas. And then also we broke down the tight end and safety rankings.
Mm-hmm. Well done. Uh-oh.
Okay. Not sure what just happened there, but I guess we're back.
Yeah, I mean, that total feedback here because I had something going and now it's not that it isn't working. It's not see if I can go and remove this so that they can add it for this one. Excuse me, folks. I just got to. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Like so. Got it. That's one down. And this is what you've got to do to lighten your load without lightening people, especially the ones you want as friends and business owners who are part of the Grand Lake Theater and all that sort of process. Very correct, as Cary Grant might say. So I think it's actually subsiding away. Randy, I said that. Now, Bill, Bill, are you there? Let me add him to the stage. Bill? Yeah, you're there. All right. Let me figure out why I can't get rid of these other disturbing distractions on this side. Oh, that's why. Because these are open. Let's close this tab. Now, hold on a second, folks. We're having a Twilight Zone moment. Literally. See that? There's your Twilight Zone. Woo, we just lost Bill. Down into the hole. Down into the hole is Bill. So we'll remove that one and bring it back this way. And there's Bill. No longer in the hole. But we still have a unique situation where, let's see, we get rid of that. And then get rid of, let's see, that's the studio. So we'll just stop that. There. Does that work? Does that do it? No. That kind of does it, maybe. And we'll see if that does it. And maybe it doesn't. And then I'll add to the stage. There we are. Bill, I, can you hear me? Did you survive? Did you unmute yourself? I can't hear you.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that's much better.
Yeah, that was, folks, that was a trip into the Twilight Zone. I mean, I discovered this by accident. I didn't do it intentionally this time. This was an accident too. But when you have multiple pages open on two different browsers, what happens is that you get, with each subsequent presentation or iteration of the video as it turns, it actually goes deeper into this dimension. And it really is a dimension. It is really a physical thing, as represented by the sound. Now, that happened. And what happens is that I basically destroyed what I wanted to present at the time, and decided to go back to the old-fashioned face here. Now, let's talk about the tight ends.
Oh,
which tight end is the Brock Bowers of the group?
Well, I mean, none of them. That's easy. There is no Brock Bowers. There won't be one next year, probably either. Like there's this tendency to believe that you're going to get greatness every year. There are good tight ends this year. None of them. I mean, I don't know if there'll be a tight end taken in the first round. If so, it's probably Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon. But I think the most of the tight end class this year is going to go somewhere between pick maybe 85 and pick 130 is where the meat of the tight end class is going to mostly come off.
Yeah, it did. The fire alarm did go off. That's precisely what happened.
My old friend David. Okay.
Dave, yeah.
Good to see Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, I'll be dragging you back on my show soon enough to talk about Colorado football. But yes, this tight end class is not last year's tight end class. If you're looking for someone who's going to test well, Justin Joly from North Carolina should probably have a good day at the office when it comes to testing. The aforementioned Kenyon Sadiq, I think, will test well. But it's a smaller tight end class. And by smaller, I don't mean number of tight ends. I mean smaller. They are physically smaller. There are only a handful of guys like Sam Roush from Stanford, Max Clare. There's a couple who are truly full-size tight ends, right?
Mm-hmm.
The size of guys like Colson Love and the size of guys like Cole Kmet, there's not a bunch of them. They're mostly a physically smaller group of tight ends. So a lot of guys who are in the mid 240s to low 230s are going to go in this tight end group with a sprinkling of full-size tight ends as opposed to it being mostly bigger guys. So that's another thing that's going to affect this tight end group is that they're not I'll just go. So at the Senior Bowl, yeah, Josh Cuevas, 6'3", 252 is with the heavier tight ends there. Tanner Koziel came in at 245 at 6'6.5", so tall, but sort of lean. Will Kaczmarek came in at 6'5", 262. That was the biggest. That's the biggest tight end there. He's a big body. Actually, he's a good blocker too. Jolie is 6'3", 251. Matt Hibner came in at 6'4.5", 239. As I mentioned, Roush was another bigger guy, 6'5" and 5'8", 259. Dan Villari from Syracuse, 6'4", 243. DJ Rogers from TCU, 6'3". I mean, really at H-back, 6'3", 242. Nate Boerichter, 6'4" and 7'8", 247. Here's one of my favorites. Remember this name, John Michael Gillenborg. Now, he sounds like someone who conquered Iceland in the year 1142. But he is, amongst the bigger tight ends, he's one who can actually run. I won't be shocked if he runs sub 4.75, and he's 6'5" and 3/8", 251 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a bigger guy, but he can run.
That's called called fast action. That's called attack tank. Wow.
Yeah, right. And he can block. He's got enough size. Yeah, they invited Heinrich as a running back. I don't know if
is he the next Gronkowski. Even though Gronkowski is a little smaller, just a little bit. But
Gronk's a big dude. Gronk's a big guy. Yeah, Gronk's a big dude. Gronk was 6'5" and 7'8",
right?
And he played in the 260s most of his career. So yeah, he's a bigger dude. But Heinrich, no, he's not a tight end. He's too small to play tight end. He can possibly be. They list him as a running back in the Senior Bowl roster. I mean, not Senior Bowl, in the Combine. The Combine lists him as a running back. I think he ends up probably being a punt returner, slot guy who maybe plays running back in certain situations. It's when you make a late change from quarterback, even a running quarterback, you're not running the same way that a conventional running back runs. First of all, he's coming from that flex bone option where nobody knows who's carrying the ball, right? Until the defense tells you, right? So you're reading the defense not so much for where the hole will be. You're reading it for who you're reading, right?
Yeah.
Are we reading the 3-tech, right? So are we reading the in-man line scrimmage? Are we reading the mic? So you're reading a certain defensive player to decide whether you're keeping it or pitching it. And then if that guy steps forward, back, left, or right, that's what decides if you end up keeping it, where you run, if you run. So it's very different from conventional inside zone or outside zone or a 30 dive or whatever, where if everything goes right, you're running exactly right here, right? Sure. There's no deciding.
There's no guessing.
No guessing and really no deciding. I mean, you're told to go there, and then if something goes wrong, maybe you bounce it outside. But he's got to learn all that, at age 22, as opposed to learning at age 8 or 9, where most of the guys playing running back in the NFL learned this kind of stuff.
Who is the best running back that you saw at the Senior Bowl? Not the best running back that people, not the one that people think is the best, but who you saw with your own eyes is the best.
Yeah. That's about to answer your question. So the person that had the best overall week was Mr. Washington from Arkansas. He doesn't catch the ball super well, but he didn't catch it poorly. Mike Washington
Catch it. He caught it well enough for it to be caught.
He caught it well enough. That's exactly the right way to put it. He caught the ball well enough. He didn't fight it, right? Some guys, Adrian Peterson or whatever, you see certain guys that are just kind of fighting the football.
He didn't bat it in, right?
Right. He didn't fight the football. He managed to catch it fairly cleanly most of the time. He's never going to be great at that, but he has speed. He has power. He's a big body guy, 223 pounds. So I think he could play, 5, maybe 8 pounds heavier without really losing anything. If you wanted him to get bigger, I don't think he needs to, but if you wanted that for some reason, he had a really good week. So I would say him probably at the top of just purely that week, not going off of like tape before or anything like that, or projections or whatever, just that week. He had the best overall week of the running backs. Your boy Jaden Knott, right, formerly of Cal, more recently in Oklahoma, had a couple of good
Jaden.
Yeah, Jaden Knott. Had a couple of good. What did I say? Did I say Jaden?
It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Okay.
We know what you're talking about.
But he had a couple of good pass protection reps, which was one of the real question marks on him. Yeah. He's 5'10" and 7/8", 202 pounds, and not the most powerful guy in the world, but very, very quick. And he catches the ball extremely
another well. Harvard best in a sense.
But he catches the ball beautifully. Yeah. But like I said, he was super proud of himself. He didn't win a lot of one-on-ones in pass pro, but he had like 2 really good reps, and he was super. One time he just stoned a guy, and he was super proud of himself. Like you could tell, he couldn't wait to talk about it. I'm not joking. He couldn't wait to talk about it. If you want to get Jordan Knott to smile, ask him about the time he absolutely stoned a linebacker in one-on-ones in pass pro. But he's a guy who's going to be a made-to-order third down back at the NFL level. He's going to be a fantastic third down back at the NFL level. Other running backs that had good weeks, frankly, all the running backs, I would say, had at least one or two good moments amongst the group that was there, except Nick Singleton, who actually got hurt. He sadly got hurt. He was having a pretty good week, but he got hurt. Faison from South Carolina did okay. Le'Veon Moss accepted, then later pulled out. Jamari Taylor, you're looking for a surprise?
Yeah.
Jamari Taylor had a really good week. I think he also made himself into like that major order third down back and showed on a couple of reps. Now, once again, there's not a lot of tackling, like real tackling in practice. So it's hard to get a sense of just how powerful a guy is. Right. But he looked like he was running hard. 5'9" and 1/8, 205 pounds.
Yeah, and then if you get out there and it's like it's the first day of training camp or worse, maybe it's further into training camp, then all of a sudden you get injured. Wow.
Yeah.
That's the scenario you're setting up, Bill.
Yeah. Like a poor man's Ray Rice, sort of, in terms of him. Kalen Black probably had the second best overall week of all the running backs after Mike Washington.
Always bet on Black.
5'9", 3/4, 208. Even with the non-tackling, you could tell he ran super hard. There were people who in team drills didn't seem to want the smoke, as they say, from Mr. Black.
That's funny.
He brings it. He weighs 208, but he brings.
Are they whimpering when he came up?
He brings some extra. He definitely plays heavier than he measured. Seth McGowan
he brings mustard to the kitchen, right?
Yeah, he brings all that. He brings that, and he's got a little extra. He's got a little something more than you're expecting. Seth McGowan had a good.
I got a little something for you.
Yeah, Seth McGowan doesn't do one thing particularly well. Think about Derek Ward in the old Earth, Wind, and Fire backfield with the Giants. He's not the biggest. He's not the fastest. Not the strongest. He's not the quickest. Nothing super well, but everything's like solid. Kewan James is another one of those little squatty-bodied quick backs from FIU, 5'9.5", 205. Solid week, nothing spectacular, but solid in all areas. Yeah. Adam Randall was a big back, 6'2" and 5/8", 233. Some people may decide he's a fullback, whatever that means nowadays. Yeah. But I think he's just a big back, a power back.
To me,
he had a decent enough week. And like
if
I said,
call you a fullback, you better ask to be a halfback because you're going to get
like I said,
up there as a fullback, man.
But as I opened with, and I'll close with, the big winner to me was Mike Washington. Arkansas didn't have a great year as a team, but Mike Washington flashed a little bit on tape, especially his second gear for a guy his size, and he backed it up. Came in at 6'4.5", not 6'4", sorry, 6 feet and a half, 6 feet and a half inch, 228 pounds, and was in terms of long speed, right, the fastest back, despite being like the second biggest back there. He was the fastest. He could really accelerate, especially that second gear, right? The smaller, quicker guys have the first 2-3 steps, but steps 4 on, he could really pull away from people in the open field.
Bill, great recap, man. I want to add something. I want to show you something before we close. Something that I talked with you about off camera, but I'm now bringing to attention because no one's talked about it still, and that is the unfortunate proceedings of what we call the Big Data Bowl. And now, if you type, go ahead, Bill, you have access to another internet screen right now?
I have access to what you say?
Another internet screen where you can type a search.
Oh, I mean, I could just open another tab if that's what you mean.
Yeah, sure. What I want you to type is NFL Big Data Bowl, and then tell me if there's any news that pertains to this year's, the latest news that talks about the winners.
Yeah, well, the first few things that pop up when you look at the Big Data Bowl for this year is under NFL operations.
Right.
There's also a prediction market if you want to bet on it on Carroll.
Are there any news about the winner?
Right.
You said there it is. Now look at the screen before you. It reads, Elizabeth Park did not formally list the winners.
Right.
But it's Team Okawa 3 led by a Japanese engineer from Kawasaki, Kawanga, Japan. And then it goes further from there, folks. The top prize winners are listed as follows, and from the Kaggle page, listed as team members score, entries, last, and then solution. Save you the, rigmarole trying to figure out all the other stuff. Okawa 3 is the winner, followed by, I'll just simply say Team 2, because it's in Japanese kanji. And then Team 3 is no free lunch, okay? Now, it's, as I said, it says, the winners are an engineer from Japan who is a Kaggle competitions grandmaster, a machine learning expert. Yeah, exactly. A machine learning expert from Wuhan, Hubei, China, and another Kaggle competitions grandmaster. And to round out the triplet, a 4-person team of coders from various locations in China. Now, here is the problem from the perspective of relevance to football. I have drawn a large number of football plays and coached and created play concepts. Some, like the Eagle offense for the NFL and the read option jet sweep pass below, were used by then John Gruden, Stanford head coach David Shaw, and at least 6 NFL teams. I'm not going to play that for you because it's 14 minutes long. So when I think of the ball in flight, I first ask, because that was the question in the Big Data Bowl, is to predict the ball in flight. How do you do that? Okay, And so I wrote, I first asked what kind of play is being used. That's important because I need to know if the quarterback is throwing a short pass to a receiver running an out pattern, or a long pass to one running a post pattern down the middle of the field. That determines the path of the ball in flight. First, I did not see that kind of thinking reflected in the Big Data Bowl data and source material presented. What I did see was a lot of math tech talk that focused on how a solution was designed. And that brought more chatter about the structure of the model created, but no talk about how this can impact game plan design. That's what's missing from the winners of the 2026 NFL Big Data Bowl, a presentation of how these solutions are relevant to the task and how the task itself is relevant in NFL game planning. That said, the level and detail of work put into this is remarkable and deserves further discussion and review. But I have to note what is before us because the simple fact, Bill, is that for arguably the first time in the NFL Big Data Bowl history, with just 2 weeks before the combine, what is normally known now, which is the winners of the Big Data Bowl, were not publicly listed. You had to do what I did. You had to dig for it.
Right.
And push it out there. That I believe, calls into question the value of how the NFL does the big data bowl. And I say it like that for this reason. Considering the speed of players, considering the specialization in everywhere in football, right? With coaches and everything else, right? We get more data than ever. The big data bowl isn't reflecting that. It's become this game for modelers who have no interest in football and don't care and don't even live in America. And I'm not being nationalist. I'm pointing out a fact because, look, football is an American sport for the time being, right? And so, uh, what are we doing here with this? And I say this because also it's at the combine. It they will present it on Tuesday. Bill, what do you think about what I'm saying here?
Well, I think originally the Big Data Bowl was seen as this sort of, I don't want to say they didn't take it seriously, but it wasn't taken super seriously at first. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And as it's gotten bigger and a very different class of person is now entering it, right? I think the average age of the first year's worth of interest was probably about 23 and a half, right? There were some 19-year-olds, and some people who were college graduates who were in that first group and grad students. But a lot of the first years, participants were undergrads, right? People between the ages of 18 and 21, 22. But I guess someone should do a data thing on data viz on this. But I'm willing to bet with each passing year, the average age of the participants tracked up a little higher. Now, part of it's because people who maybe didn't win when they were 22 or 23 are still continuing to enter. Maybe that's part of it. But I think the biggest part of it is that a different kind of entrant is now happening. As you said, people from all over the world.
Yeah.
People who are well established in their careers also. That didn't used to be the people entering. And at one point, it was mostly, like I said, students and recent graduates. And now we're seeing people who, as you said, are 10 plus years in, working in the industry. So
Yeah.
that's a big change.
They're master modelers who they've developed the model for the model's sake, and the compliments they give have nothing to do with their relevance to football and everything to do with the elegance of model structure. All right, that's it. Okay, and nothing else. Nothing else. Now Riz has a question. He says, "When and how did you get into football?" I got into football after 1975 when my mom befriended then Oakland Raiders defensive tackle and nose tackle Otis Sistrunk. He was in our living room, and Mom said, "Zenny, come downstairs and meet Otis." I was upstairs reading my Star Trek technical manual. It was a Saturday, and I quickly figured out that nice though Mr. Sistrunk was, he knew nothing about Star Trek, nor did he care. And he knew nothing about photography, nor did he care. Whereas I cared about Star Trek, I cared about photography, and I knew nothing about football except that a lot of people who looked like me played it, and a lot of white guys coaching it on the sidelines. And I recognized that at 6 years old, and because I did, I wanted nothing to do with football. All that changed when I met Otis, because I realized it was important to be nice to somebody who was my mother's friend. And so I happened upon a book called The NFL's Encyclopedic History of Pro Football at Crocs and Bertano's at Eastmont Mall in Oakland. And my grandmother bought it for me. And then Otis Sistrunk was in it, which I thought was really cool. But even cooler for me, okay, was a section called Encyclopedic History, a diagram history of pro football. And within that section, which was 8 pages, 9 pages, 10 pages long, was a page about a man named Tom Landry in his fedora and 2 photographs. In those days, that's all you had. There was no internet, okay? Nothing. You had to, you were excited about seeing something, you had to use your imagination and go back and look at the photograph again and again and again and again and again, hoping to glean something from it, the fourth pass that you didn't get passes 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, right? So I became quickly hooked on the Cowboys because the authors said that Tom Landry applied um, feedback and control theory and engineering to football. And I was studying or wanted to study civil engineering, go in that area, so that really got me hooked. And then the flex defense was a zone defense against the run. So I started trying to get other books. And I ordered the Dallas Cowboys Weekly, and I was a Raider fan too. I became a Raider fan because at that point we were winning. John Madden was coaching the best team in the AFC, arguably, not named the Steelers. The Steelers were having their battles, and it was a fun time to be in Oakland. Yeah, I went to my first Raiders game October 9th, 1974. My optometrist, Dr. Howard Rose, was in section 204, row 14. And then when I met Otis, I had the opportunity to go to a couple of games. And of course, the Raiders won Super Bowl 11, clobbering the Minnesota Vikings 27 to, not 27-10, no, 32 to 14, I believe it was. That was how I got into football. That was my introduction with football was then capped by uh, getting the Dallas Cowboys Weekly, which had the cheerleader spread in the middle, but also had a lot of information about the players. And I wondered what the keys of Bob Brunig, the middle linebacker for the Cowboys at the time, were in the flex defense. So I wrote a letter to Ernie Stautner, who was the defensive coordinator. And to my surprise, the Cowboys not only answered the letter, but invited me to come down for a visit, which to this day still shocks the blankety blank out of me. I still can't believe it happened, but it did. Mom was able to sit me down, worked out everything with the Cowboys. I had a hotel room for the day at the Hyatt. Excuse me, at the Hyatt Regency Dallas Union, and went in at 8:30 in the morning. I had a business suit on with a red tie and white shirt. And as I was waiting, the defensive backfield came out. That was Charlie Waters, Cliff Harris, Mike Hegman at linebacker, and the aforementioned Brunig. And I was seeing this like, who's this kid? And I'm just like, wow, I don't believe it, right? I mean, and it was, to this day, it's surreal. And I was 16 then, and I'm 63 now, and it's still like it happened yesterday. Uh, I They gave me 6 reels of film: Dallas defense versus the I formation 1, Dallas defense versus the I formation 2, flex strong quality control, flex weak quality control, Dallas defense reel 1, and Dallas defense reel 2. Now, notice I said real. Okay, those days you're on a projector, and you had a clicker. Now, that was my first time learning how to use a projector. I was scared I was going to do something wrong, and so as I got to work the projector, I thought everything's fine, and went you go back and forth. And so I go back, but I was going back and forth. This is like that, right? Then at one point, all of a sudden, I heard this, and sure enough, the film spliced. And I thought, oh my God, they're gonna get mad at me. What am I going to do? And I wasn't gonna tell them for a second. I thought, my mom always taught me to tell the truth. So I went in. I told Ms. Kelly's secretary, and she goes, "Oh, that's no problem." Picked up the phone, click, clack. Here comes a guy named Gus, brother, full wearing what we now call a hoodie, right? And he goes, "Don't worry, I'll be back in 5 minutes." Came back in 5 minutes, good as new. Then Coach Stautner came in and he says, "So what do you think?" And I said, "It seems like the flex defense, they even gave me the playbook. In other words, I didn't just have the reels, they had the playbook there. And I had this long conference room all to myself, okay? Um, and you know how then you would always hear about how the computerized Cowboys and everything is complex. It wasn't for me. Uh, it was systemic. What most impressed me about what the Cowboys had put together was that it was easy to understand what they were trying to do. And so there were a lot of instructions to be sure, but they all had their place in terms of there being like we now call a program like if then else statement. That's essentially what they were. Okay. And so it made it easy to understand. Uh, Coach Startner said, "So what do you think?" And I said, "Well, it seems like in the flex, everybody has to move together, but if somebody doesn't, I mentioned Sam Cunningham running 56 yards for a touchdown because the late guard John Hanna, I don't know if he's late, but the then guard John Hanna from the New England Patriots was going up against Randy White, and the Cowboys were in Brown, right? For they shifted to Brown White formation. No, excuse me. The Patriots were in Brown White formation. The Cowboys were what started out as flex weak, which is where the defensive tackle Randy White is up, going this direction. They were shifting from flex weak to flex strong. And so here Randy White is coming down toward Hannah, which means if he comes down, he's actually going to go into the guard center gap, right? He never made it. Then Bob Brunig realized he was turned the wrong way. So at the snap of the ball, he was turned this way. He tried to turn himself back around. And the combination of those two incorrect maneuvers created this giant butthole that Cunningham ran through like that. Boom. Because in those days, they didn't have you way back in the backfield. You were close to the line of scrimmage, like 3.5 yards. Okay. Didn't take long for him to hit the hole. And by the magic of YouTube, that whole game is still on YouTube for you and I to see right now. And so that's what I share with Stone. He goes, "Yeah, that's pretty good." And that really made my day, for the man considered one of the NFL's greats, right? And I didn't realize that until later. But I mean, he was just early starting defensive coordinator. But the man realized he is one of the greats of the league, let alone the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys said that my observation was correct. That was right. That was freaking cool. All right. That was my introduction to football. Bill?
Yeah. Well, in my case, when I was small, my father was a graduate student at the University of North Carolina, and because of the financial restrictions that you have when you're a graduate student, my parents didn't have a lot of money at the time. So on my third birthday, my father got what I'm going to assume were extremely inexpensive tickets to see NC State versus University of North Carolina, and Don McCauley ran wild. I think he went over 200 yards twice that season. In fact, that year, 1970, he broke O.J. Simpson's rushing record. He ran for 1,720 yards, and he also had about 500 and some odd yards receiving. He had an amazing year. He ended up with over 5,000. I think, yeah, he went over 5,000 yards from scrimmage in his career. Well, sorry, total yards. So that included return yards, rushing, and receiving yards in his career. And of course, that was in the days when freshman eligibility wasn't a thing yet. So he did that in 3 years. But Don McCauley went absolutely wild on the NC State Wolfpack. He had a great, great year. And so the football bug bit me pretty hard. Don McCauley was my first favorite player. And then the next year I fell in love with Johnny Rodgers, who won the 72 Heisman Trophy. And then my next favorite player was a kid who wore number 22 from Alcoa, Tennessee, but played for USC, and Coach John McKay, Lynn Swann. Fell hard for Lynn Swann, and ended up wearing 88 when I started playing in honor of Lynn Swann. But yeah, that was the game sort of consumed my life pretty quickly from a fairly young age. So, by the time I was, probably 9 or 10 years old, I was taking notes. I was writing, what would eventually become sort of scouting reports on players. The oldest one that I know I still have somewhere is on Marlon Humphrey's father, Bobby Humphrey, in his time as a running back at Alabama. So I've got a couple of generations worth of scouting notes on players at this point. And I've been writing up players. My first published article was in 1982 for a community newspaper called the Answer newspaper that I had an opportunity to write for when I was growing up. And so I've been writing and talking about football to somebody since 1982.
Wow, that's pretty cool, Bill. When did you first like the NFL?
Well, so yeah, my gateway drug or whatever was college football because, like I said, we lived in a college town in Chapel Hill. But yeah, pro football really hit for me, the next year. And I remember on my 5th birthday, the Steelers were playing the Raiders. Ironically enough, the Raiders got off to a early lead, and to my young mind, where everything's still very black and white, it was clear the Raiders were representative of everything evil. Right? They literally had a pirate on the side of their helmets. They seemed to punch someone at some point. Somebody on the Raiders seemed to punch someone on almost every play, or forearm, or something like an elbow, a kick. Somebody on the Raiders seemed to be physically abusing somebody on the other team on every play. So, as a 5-year-old, very interested in fair play and good sportsmanship, I was not at all impressed with the Raiders. I later came to respect the organization a lot. But as a small child, it seemed like, well, this is not very sporty. So that's how I ended up becoming a Steelers fan, right? Because they actually came from behind.
Steelers?
And that's how they came from behind and beat the favored Raiders. Because the Raiders
wait. Let me get this straight. You're telling me that, first of all, you accuse the Raiders of basically hitting everybody on every play.
There was a fair number of cheap shots taken, Ziddy. I remember quite clearly.
All right, but then you give this layout of all these cheap shots.
Villapiano,
and then you had the nerve.
Villapiano had a cast on his arm, and he was hitting someone with it on every opportunity.
The absolute, I dare you. I mean, to bring up, of all teams, the friggin' criminal element that was the Pittsburgh Steelers. How dare you? I mean, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Well, what I did not see was somebody hitting someone with a cast on their arm.
Donnie Shell, Jack Lambert, Count Dracula, Jack Ham.
Well, I mean,
L.C. Greenwood,
right?
Clint Edwards.
They certainly played hard and physical.
But I did not hard and physical. They put the D in dirty and the T in thug. Give me a break, man.
I don't
be kidding.
As compared to the spearing, more than one spearing incident I saw Mr. Atkinson engage in that game.
Hey, rest in peace.
I'm just gonna say,
George is my friend. Rest in peace.
Multiple spearing incidents happened. One to Frenchie Fuqua got speared in the kidney area by him on one play. It was a tough physical game. I'm not going to pretend that both teams weren't trying to clearly put
You tell me Donnie Shell didn't do the same thing?
Oh, Donnie Shell wasn't a starter at that time.
So
Mike Wagner was still the starting safety at that point.
So
Donnie was a special teams guy in those days.
So it's still dirty.
I don't know. Every special teams, I don't know if dirty exists on special teams. Everybody's hitting everybody with everything got. But I'm pointing out simply that I saw a couple of forearm shivers to people's heads being delivered. Like I said, Mr. Villapiano at the time I don't know if he had a broken arm or what, but he had this big cast on, and he made it
especially for the games. He was
it kept ending up upside people's heads or sometimes underneath their chins, and I thought to myself, "Gosh, that arm of his. I mean, I guess he doesn't feel it, but he seems to be throwing it around rather freely. I noticed that.
Yeah, well, he made it especially for the Steelers. Hey, off topic, he asks here. What do you think about Malik Willis as a free agent starting quarterback?
Oh, yeah.
He's a backup in Green Bay.
He's a hot property.
I think Green Bay would pay
nice
I think Green Bay is going to keep him.
Oh, this would be a nice little. I mean, if Pittsburgh should be interested, Miami should very much be interested. We'll see what's going to happen in Arizona, but without thinking hard, I can think of 3 or 4 teams that should at least pick up the phone and inquire as to what it would take to bring him in.
And I think there's one, and that is the Packers that should keep him in their stead.
I mean, the Packers are going to make an offer, but I don't think they'll be able to match what some other teams will probably put on the table. We'll see.
We'll see. And then Thomas says a shout out to Real Gentleman. Last time I talked to you was at my Tiki Lounge on the birthday.
Yeah, man.
Oakland Riviera. Cheers, Tiki Tom. Wait, you're actually Tiki Tom?
Oh, this is Tiki Tom? The legendary Tiki Tom, huh?
Yeah. Bill, have you seen the video?
I may have seen it before, but it probably was a while back.
It's right here. This is it. Yeah.
There we go.
This is Tiki. This goes back to my late godmother. Is in it. Rest in peace. Barbara Shaft died last year. Here is the video you got to see. Oakland. This is a part of history. I have to actually turn off the echo cancellation so you can properly hear the video. A piece of Oakland lore. This place burned down. All right.
Oh.
Yeah, burned down. Tiki Tom's restaurant. Right here, the last video.
Hi, folks. It's the eve before my 48th birthday.
Night before Christmas.
Thank you. And I'm going to a place called Tiki Tom's. Right there. Not open. It's got is that a frog up there?
Yep.
It's a frog on the damn roof. Tiki Tom's. Oh, and it's in Oakland, California. Home of the Raiders.
That's my godmother talking. She was a hoot. She was.
I don't think they do.
Her daughter, Libby Shaft, later became mayor of Oakland.
Oh, we like
Tell my viewers about Tiki Tom's.
Yo, what's up? You're talking to Tiki
That's
Tom.
Tiki Tom. That's you. That's you.
Oakland Riviera.
Nice.
I know about 14 blocks from here. It looks a little different, but really, Oakland's a very dynamic city. Yeah, we got very nice things. We got a very beautiful cityscape. We got a very beautiful Coliseum.
Hey, why the frog on the roof?
Because people can't find the place. Whoever designed it, they go to the roundabout, like in Mexico, man. It's like you're in Italy. You can't find it. So, my buddy on the corner went out of business in a spa shop. It's a Jingletown frog. Been there for 20 years. I traded him $500 worth of drinks for it. He paid $10,000 for it. Leave my frog alone.
What's the address here, my man?
329th Avenue. The kids love it too. I brought it down one time. I had a public outcry from the teachers. Give me a break here.
Now, what's the signature dish? What should I order?
Coconut prawns.
Nice. Coconut prawns.
Oh, I like the barbecued oysters.
Well, there you have it. You got a live barbecue oyster order coming in here, guys.
Right, I
Yeah,
got
look at
it.
the surfboards up here. It's the only original
Oh, look at the
collection.
surfboards. Wow.
From 1930 to 2002, we have the only West Coast, California, all-exclusive surfboard collection. Handcrafted, written by Tiki Tom himself at every beach in the California coast. Now, I snuck away one time, went to the jetty at Coos Bay when I was diving for oysters. And an alligator, matter of fact, an albino alligator came up and bit me in the ankle.
Oh my God.
Encouraged me to dig.
Now, you don't have a scarf from that, do you?
I certainly do, but it went from my ankle to my hand.
Hey, where's that scarf?
Right here. It went to my hand.
Oh, right there. Oh my God.
Got my hand, man. I had to do surgery and put my ankle on my hand, man. I don't know what happened. You tell me.
Cool. Hey, I'm honored to be here.
Check out the 66 Chris Craft. We'll go on board later.
Oh, that's it? Nice.
Check that thing out.
66 Chris Craft. Thank you.
Let me get some bread and butter and let's get the
You got it.
dinner happening.
Cool. You're on.
Hi, welcome to Tiki Tom's.
Thank you so much. You guys having a great time?
Well, we haven't had a thing to eat or drink. We don't
The day before Zenny's birthday.
Yeah.
Let's have a good time.
Yeah, I agree.
They never missed my birthday.
So that's just a sampling of food here, and we're having a great time, yeah? Yay! Oh, there's more. What is this? Oh.
Hold on a second, I'm tripping out. This is really Tiki Tom? Is this you? Thomas Davies 3590 is Tiki Tom? I am. Oh, wow. Okay. Let's. Wow.
That's barbecued oyster. Yeah?
That's my favorite.
Wow. Folks, that, this chili, whatever it is, hot sauce, what is this? Hot chili sauce will blow you out of Oakland. I mean, it will blow you out of Vietnamese, will blow you out of Oakland. I had it on this. Wow. Good stuff. There's like an old-fashioned jukebox. That's really cool. And that's my mahi-mahi. Yummy. He's got steak, right?
Absolutely.
And oysters. Lots of oysters.
Yeah.
Yay. I'm going to dig in. Now I'm going to take a tour of the boat. Ready?
Yeah.
Cool, let's do it. All right.
Rickshaw, 1971.
Nice.
Last
Look
one
at
out of Saigon, right here.
Nice.
Ming Ming sandals. After we got out of Vietnam, we left all our jeeps and our transport troops, and the natives came out of the jungle and chopped up our tires and made Ming Ming sandals. The Smithsonian's been after these for 5 years, but I ain't selling them.
Whoa. History. In the making.
All right, be careful.
You got it.
Yeah, we're about lost yet, but they've been restaurants out here in Oakland for 30 years, and they ain't that old.
No, you're not. Wow.
They started out
Cool.
as pizza. Okay. What
Okay.
you want to do is come up here, grab that.
You got it. Yep. One, two. Yep. 1, 2. Lean over.
Come on, Fred.
Wow, this is cool.
This is where all the corporate meetings happen. 1966 glass wood Chris Craft made.
This is cool, man. Look at that. This is really cool. Hey, so tell my folks about the Oakland restaurant scene. What do you see happening, man? You've been around for a while.
Well, as soon as we get the city down there to be more acceptable to the ideas of letting the local businesses do as they want and let them have local musicians come out and have jazz movement again and have a little rhythm and blues and let the old rock and roll stars come back and play. I got all kinds. Sammy Hagar, they won't even let him play at my place, man.
Really?
Yeah, he says, no, we ain't want Sammy there. You know, what's up with that, man? You know, what's going on in Nashville? What's up with you, bro? Come down and talk to the teaster. You heard last time?
Ignacio de la Fuente, he's talking to you.
Mario's going up against you. Mario's got you this time, buddy. Okay?
Cool.
Mario, God bless him.
This is cool. Look at this, man. Wow.
Anyway, so, yeah, you got just it's a dually, man. You know? You got the full on.
Oh, sweet.
Ready to go on a dime, buddy.
Nice.
We're out of here. We're going.
Nice.
Ooh. It's like big kid's toy, man. We're 50-foot toy, baby.
Nice. This is
Anyway,
sweet.
so then here's Al Capone's boat. So if you look out here, you can't really see it, but they're restoring Al Capone's boat.
Okay.
President Roosevelt's boat's up, the Potomac's up here. Now
Nice.
this one was made 4 years before the president's boat. And Al Capone's private yacht being restored right now by a big steel baron.
Oh,
They're working on it for 4 years now. We've spent about $6 million into it. He's invested in Oakland. A lot of us, everybody, we love Oakland.
Yeah,
Quit doing us like that. The people of Oakland want to speak out, man. Don't let off our police.
That's right.
What's up with that? And then try to hire other ones
Yep.
from outside?
Yep.
These are our guys, man. These guys are coming in their business every night. Don't do OPD like that. OPD is the best.
Hey, give me your address.
329th Avenue. Down here at the Park Street Bridge, look for the 30-foot frog.
And your food is great.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, I really.
Thanks for coming in. Happy birthday.
Hey, thank you, man. All right, folks, I'm getting off this thing. Here we go. Step
Coming
down.
off the boat
Oh yeah.
Just go straight down. There you go.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, no, this thing's strong.
Yeah, straight down.
Oh yeah.
That's why
Piece of cake.
See this platform?
Yeah, no problem.
I had my famous gold blazer on. Well, actually, it's yellow.
1968.
When I keep thinking Godzilla's gonna come out of this damn water.
Yeah, man, no, we got albino crocodiles out
Are you
here,
serious?
man. Albino
Is that what that lump behind you is all about? See that
Yeah,
thing?
totally.
Oh. Yeah.
Picture of the back of the boat.
Oh, sweet. Nice.
Can you imagine that there's this in Oakland? This is Oakland, California. We're down in the Oakland Riviera. We've got resorts in Oakland. You guys never even knew about it. Come on down and visit Tiki Tom and the Big Frog. We call it the Tiki Toad.
This is gorgeous, man.
Check this out, man.
Look at this.
There's the boat right there.
Ah,
Again, if you want to go on board and film it, I can get you on that thing.
over there?
My buddy owns it.
Out in yonder there?
See where the light is?
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, there's a little boat in front of it, right?
Yes.
That's the caretaker. And then there's Al Capone's boat right there that they're restoring.
Oh, too funny.
It's going to be done in 1 month, and we're going to have it up on this dock, and we're going to have Al Capone night, where we're going to have the roaring 20s. We're going to all dress up.
Now, what night is that?
It's going to be a Saturday night. You're going to be able to go on the historical Al Capone boat and then have a beautiful simulated 1920s dinner here. No shootouts, no shootouts. By the way, kids, come on. You guys mellow out with all that bullshit. Put those guns
I hear
away,
you.
man.
That's
come
right.
on, it's bullshit.
Definitely.
Figure it out, man.
You
We
tell 'em.
all want to be around, okay?
Absolutely.
Come down and see Uncle Tiki.
Yeah.
Talk to you. Come on and have a
That's right.
Coca-Cola. and a burger.
Uncle Tiki, right here. Yeah.
Hey, seriously, man, get your
You
shit
got it,
together out
definitely.
there. Quit that shit.
Hey, let's go out back inside. My folks are waiting for me. Thank you for the tour.
Yeah, my funny.
This is great, man.
Trip, huh?
This is funny. This is great, man. I love it. I love it. Wow, look at this.
400-year-old Silk Road from the most southern part of Iran.
Whoa.
An absolutely gorgeous piece of material. I collect weird things, you know? I got the tiki torches,
Right here.
tiki poles.
Look at this. Wow. Tiki Tom's got it going on.
Right here. Virgin Airlines. Big Daddy surfboard on Telegraph Avenue. The guy that owns Virgin Airlines, Bronson, he had a surfboard shop up on Telegraph, 1964. Original surfboard, never surfed on. Right there. Big Daddy, Telegraph Avenue, Berkeley. Bet you guys didn't know there was a surfboard shop in Berkeley.
No, I didn't know that. I had no idea.
That board is one of the most famous boards in the world. Right here on the Oakland Riviera.
Whoa.
Nice ship. Simulated. 1870s. Pirate ship. Blackbeard ship. Replica Blackbeard ship. Last Saturday was Blackbeard's birthday. And we had a huge pirate party, full costume, sword fights, the whole bit, and in honor of Blackbeard. For all you pirate ships.
We're going to be back to your place. This is an awesome place with a great bar.
I don't know if you guys know about surfing, but this is O'Neill's first surfboard ever made. His first shop was in San Francisco, not in Santa Cruz. And then he eventually moved down to Santa Cruz, and here's one of the original boards.
Whoa.
We've got it all, folks. Come on down here.
It's like a historical society. Hey, Tiki Tom, thanks. Hey, thanks a lot, sir.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Come on down and see us.
You got it.
Remember, everybody, be good, man. Peace. 9 and 10. And between 9 and 10 on Friday night, we got glass in the floors, and look down at the water. We got electronic mermaid shows. Bring the kids. We're kid friendly. We're kid friendly down here, for God's sakes. Come on down to Oakland. Oakland Riviera. We're live.
Thank you very much for coming to Tiki Tom's.
So that's it. That's Tiki Tom's. And it's a great time on the day before my birthday officially. So come and check out Tiki Tom's in Oakland. This was a lot of fun. Remember, there's a frog on the roof there. Back there.
Come out this way.
Oh, thank you. Come out this way? Okay. There's the frog. Remember, Tiki Tom's. Check it out.
That was Tiki Tom's, folks. Rest in peace. It also burned down in a fire. And so that was truly a time machine. It was at 300.
From the fallout over a controversial boat strike.
Excuse me, it was at 329th. Let's see, 329th Street in Oakland, California, right here. Let's see where it takes us. And Yeah. And so let's see what the street view looks like now. 329th. That's 29th Street in Oakland. Broadway Liquors. Actually, not quite where we're. That's 29th, but you have to actually go down toward Jack London, toward the water. I believe that way, this way, and keep going toward the water. It's actually two places. It's kind of weird because that's telegraphed. It. Let me try something here. Tiki Tom's. Tiki Tom's Oakland address. Because the rumor. Yeah, here we go. The rumor as to what happened to it is it's worth. I think it's worth a documentary because no one really knows why it was set on fire. Fire destroyed it, and no one could follow. No one could find Tiki Tom. Okay, no one could find him. And here's where it was located. If you can see this on the map here, right? And yeah, it's on its way to South Broadway, Olympic Boulevard, California. It's not in Walnut Creek. It's Oakland, Tiki Tom's Oakland. It says Olympic Carnival. No, that's wrong. Oakland. And it was really cool place, but no one knew why he did what he did in terms of destroying it. Oakland address, Oakland, and yet it won't change over. You can't even find it anymore because it's not there. It's just not there. Anyway, it burned down, and I have another video about it. It burned down. So for this gentleman to pop up the way that he did, and he said, okay, he writes, a shout out to a real gentleman. Last time I talked to was at my Tiki Town Lounge on your birthday, and that was the guy, Bill. I have not seen this man since that video. I could not find this guy until right now. He surfaces right now. And Tom, I don't know if you're still watching this. Probably not. Barbara Shaw passed away. I got to call Bob later. Not tonight. He's sleeping. Let him know about this. If you tune in again, give me your number so I can get you on here. We have some catching up to do, big time. What a part of history. I mean, Bill, you had to see Tiki Tom's to believe it. I think you actually did, though, didn't you? All right, so back to football. Bill, sorry about that detour, but that was history. That was amazing. That was so very wowzer unexpected. But we're going to do another one of these on up to this NFL Combine. Several of these, actually. And focus more tightly on certain positions. Any parting thoughts, Bill? Mom, you okay?
Well, it was certainly interesting to see that Tom can get in touch with us.
Yeah. But let me turn on the echo cancellation. Sorry about that. There you go.
Yeah. But in terms of the draft class itself, I would really urge people to pay really close attention. One, to the linebacker position. Teams that are in need of linebackers is a great year. A great class of linebackers. It's a really solid group of pass rushers. So if you have a defense that needs linebackers and pass rushers, stock up. This is your year. We The tight end class is not great. The quarterback class is problematic, but the rest of the draft is solid. I would say there's no superstar running back. A lot of people talk about Julian Love, and I think he's going to be a really good running back. But to me, he's closer to, let's see, like his ceiling is. We saw Kenneth Walker the third, right? So his ceiling is closer to that than say Saquon Barkley, which is still really good, right? I mean, like but he's not one of those truly special once in a every blue moon kind of running backs. But I think he's going to have a really nice career. And we talked about some of the guys that were at the Senior Bowl. I think a lot of those guys are going to have solid careers. It's a deep running back class, but I don't think it's star laden, but it's a deep class. But wide receivers super deep. It's a really good draft class for all but a couple of positions.
So how about we make arrangements next week? You say, perhaps?
Yeah, probably next weekend. I can probably clear up some time.
Yeah. Oh, and folks, where Tiki Tom's was, I have to show you this real quick, is right here, Bill. That's what replaced it. Bland Apartments. Yeah. See? Right? That's where Tiki Tom's. That's his water over there. See that? The bridge. That's where it was. The fire took him out, and that was, here it says the story area, and there it is. That's where Tiki Tom's was. You never know this bland place had anything really interesting and historic going on, but it did at one point. Tiki Tom's, rest in peace. Rest, and hopefully this man resurfaces. I am still shocked as all get out. Wow, that's something. All right, Bill. Well, and I'll end this stream. We'll talk off camera. Thanks. Do you realize